Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video, and maybe over multiple videos, I will be creating a mini Evernote replica. Not quite like Evernote, but the idea is it's a note-taking app. So you'll be able to log into your account, write a note, and different users, when they log in, will only see their notes. Okay, and we're going to be using Express for our backend framework. We're going to be using Express React Views as our view engine on React, so I will be using server-side rendered templates. And we will be using Mongo as our database. So let me head over to VS Code. Now I do have one of many templates that can be spun up with Merced SpinUp. Okay, so that I'm going to spin up. Okay, so I'm going to go to terminal. Actually, I do have a command. Actually, I do have a specific command just for this particular template. You can just type in npx create erv express react views mongo dash app, like create react app. I create app, and we're going to call this Nevernote. Get it? Because like Evernote. Okay, so that's going to make a folder, and see there we have our folder Nevernote with all our project stuff. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cd into the folder. So cd into the new folder, Nevernote. I am going to install all the dependencies because, again, node modules are not ever really pushed up to GitHub, but luckily my package.json lists all my dependencies. So all I have to do is type in npm I, and that'll go through the package.json and install everything I need. Easy peasy. Now I have two scripts set up. One for, that's really, start is your production script for when you deploy it to, let's say, something like Heroku. Dev is for your development. Okay, so we're going to use npm run dev to run the server. But before I can do that, there's one other thing I have to do. It needs certain variables to run, which are going to be, it's going to look for in this .env file. Notice it's not called .env. Why? Because .env is also in the git ignore. So what I did here is I just put a template .env that you can just easily rename .env and be off to the races. So I'm going to keep the port 5000. I'm going to keep the local MongoDB. I do have a local MongoDB server running, so in that case I will just use that. We will call the database Nevernote, and I'll leave the secret as cheese. It doesn't really matter. Okay, cool. So now let's test to see that the server is running. npm run dev. So I'm running the dev script, which should run this under Notamon. I am connected to Mongo. That's good, and the port's running on 5000. So let's take a look. Localhost 5000. Okay, cool. Okay, this is the page header. Hello world. Okay, all that kind of looks really ugly. So let's get started on making this something a little bit nicer. Okay, so notice that there's this sort of, this is the page header, this is the page footer. That's coming from our layout component. So if we go to views, we'll see layout.jsx. This is sort of the layout for the page. What I'm going to do to start getting us on sort of a nicer foot is I am going to bring in Milligram. Milligram is a CSS framework that really, unlike Bootstrap or Bulma, where you have to use certain classes to get the styling, it just kind of brings in a bunch of defaults, which gives you sort of a nice a level of aesthetics right out of the box. You still have to kind of do your own CSS on top of it, but it's a good starting place. Milligram, I want the Milligram CDN. Okay, here we go. I am copying the link tag. I'll put that into my layout, because think of your layout as where you would put all these kind of link and script tags and all that stuff. So I'll put this above my so right there. Good. So this should certainly change the appearance of our website a little bit. So if I refresh, it should look a little different. See? So it's changing, it has some like default fonts and sizing, whatnot. Cool. So that'll serve us as we go on. I'm going to get now the CSS style sheet. So notice there's like a CSS style sheet and a app.js that's already linked here, that's all in the public folder. So I'm just going to get rid of that default h1 for now. Okay. So now I should get like a purple or that. That's fine. Cool. I'm just going to let Milligram handle the styling for the moment. And let's go back and just kind of sketch out our main page. Views, layout. Okay, so header. Again, we're calling this never note. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a span around the word note so we can make that a different color. So span, put the word note in there, just some, okay, just some initial sort of styling just to kind of get things going. So save. Okay, and this h1 is in the header tag. So let's go back to our CSS. So we'll say header h1. Actually, we'll just say header text align center. So that way that text is centered. Header h1 span. So that's the span that's in there. The color will be green. So that way it's like note is gray, and then the word note is green. So this should kind of already start taking shape. See, never note. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of the footer. Okay, I don't really need this right now, so we'll just leave the footer tag empty. Save. Okay, cool. This is my footer. Let's refresh. And there we go. And then what I'm going to do is also center whatever's in the main tag, so that way whatever page we're looking at, by default it's going to center main text align center, just again to give us some basic initial styling so this looks a little bit better. Cool. Okay, there we go. So right now, and notice there's nothing in the main tag, just this.props.children. I'm using this as a wrapper component, okay, because I'm using Express React Views, which is a templating engine based on React. So really, it's just, see, I'm just wrapping layout around these contents here. Okay, cool. And what makes this a little bit different than just like proper React is that props don't just come in from passing in properties into the tag for the component, but props can also come from our routes in Express. So see this .props.hello, that's coming from the actual route here. So you see I'm passing in hello world. And I don't really need that anymore, but I'll leave it there for now. Okay. So that is that. Okay, and the cool thing about this template is that it has a built-in auth, okay, which is going to be, it's already built in, so all I have to do is link to it. Okay. How do I want to do this? Let's go to the index page, which should be in layout. Okay, header span. Then maybe we'll put like a little nav tag here. Okay. And then we'll just have span, 2 spans, and inside each span is a link. A href equals, in this case, is going to equal /auth /signup. Okay, so this will say sign up. And then we'll have another one. Let's do this. Let's go next line. Next line. And then this one will be login. So this way it automatically logs in, links to the built-in sign up and login. Let's take a look at the results. I might want to put some more space between that. So here's what I will do. I'm going to use some pipes, just because I don't feel like doing much in the way of styling right now. So I'm going to just use some cheap ways of distinguishing these things. There we go. Okay, sign up, log in. So I can click on sign up, and see it takes me to the sign up page. And I can click login, and it takes me to the login page. Okay. Neat. Okay. And just explore a little bit about how this login works. We can go take a look at how these routes work over there in controllers off. And I can see the main thing I want to point out here is that when you have a successful login request, that when you log in, we're going to toggle on, we're going to have a little Boolean that we're going to put in the session object of login equals true, and we're going to also stash the username in there, just so you're aware that that's accessible. So we'll be able to go use rec.session.username in our routes. Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay, cool. So now that we kind of have the basic setup, now let's create our note model. We're going to add the ability to create, edit notes in this app. So first thing we need to do is create a model. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm just going to just copy the existing auth model folder that's already in there. I'm just going to copy it. I'm just going to paste it so that we have exact replica. I'm going to rename this notes. And then in there, we're going to change this file because this pretty much already has all the setup. So this is going to become notes schema or note schema. I'll keep the username property, except it won't be unique because every note should be associated with a particular user. And then there should be a note, which is just going to be some text. So it should just be a string. There we go, and that's pretty much it. Okay, I don't really want anything else right now. I mean, I guess we can do timestamps. Timestamps true, so that way there's timestamps in case I want to use them. Okay, cool. And now we are going to create the model. So I'll say note, which is going to store it in a collection called note, and it's going to use the note schema. And then we're going to export the new note model. So we have our model created. Great. Wonderful. Now we just need to create our routes. So that's going to be in controllers. So I'm going to I will actually copy the test one as my starting place. Paste. We're going to rename this the note, so that way it's all notes. Let's go in here, index.js. So I need router from Express, so that works for me. I want this auth middleware. This auth middleware will make sure that we can only access these routes if the user's logged in. So only if the user's logged in can they create notes, read notes, update notes, delete notes, all that stuff. So we're going to be using this as sort of our tool to make sure that that's the case. Const router equals router. That's fine. The only thing only other thing I do need is I need to bring in the notes model. So const note equals require. So that's going to be up a folder. That's going to be back into here, and we go to models, and inside models there is notes. And there we go. We bring in notes. And since it's in an index.js inside notes, I don't have to actually specify index.js. Because when you specify a folder, it's automatically going to look for an index.js since I didn't specify a file. So that's going to take what I exported there, the note, into here. So now I can use that. And now we create our routes. So first I'm going to create our index route. Okay. Okay. So our index route. Okay, and if you like my colors, in comments, I have an extension called Better Comments that allows me to kind of designate all these kind of ways to color my comments. Very neat. Okay. So in this one, it's going to be router.get. It's a get request because we're going to be getting an index page. Okay. It's just going to be slash. Okay. Slash, and it's going to be rec with pass into callback. And I'm going to use async await. I like using async await. It just makes writing this stuff a lot cleaner. So rec res equals, okay. So in this case, since I'm using async await, when I go do a query on all that particular user's notes, I can write it a slightly different way. I can write it like this now. I can do const the note. So this is going to represent all the user's notes. And then I'm going to do note.find. But I don't want to find all notes by any user. I want just the notes from that user. So I'm going to search using the username property because that was part of our schema for notes. And I specifically want to find the user, any note that has the user rec.session.username, because we have the username stored here, as we saw when we took a look at the auth controllers. So that's going to find me any note by that user. If there isn't any, there isn't any. Okay, and I got to write the word await here. What basically this does, it says, hey, this function here returns a promise. Usually, I'd have to wait for that promise to be done, and then write a .then statement. What this does, await says, it says, not just stop the function here, wait for that promise to resolve. When the information comes back, just store it in here. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll res.render a template. I haven't made the template yet, but I'm assuming I'm going to put it in a folder called notes, and it'll be just called index.jsx. Okay. And I want to pass it the notes that we just got from the database. So we're going to pass in notes to the database, to that. Okay. So that does the job that I want it to do. The only catch is with async await, there is no built-in error handling like you could do with .thens and callbacks. So to catch any weird errors that might come up along the way, I'm going to wrap this in a try catch block. So try, so it's going to try this code. And if that something goes wrong when running that code, it'll pass the error to the catch block where I can then console log the error. So I will save this, let it format, get rid of all this so you can take a look at it for a second. So again, I'm just basically getting the notes from the database and then rendering the template. Cool. So let's create that page where we list all our notes. I'm going to do that in views. So that's in views. I'm going to create a new folder. New folder. And we're going to call that notes. And I'm going to copy this index.jsx into that just to save myself some time. Wait, did I just do that? I pasted into the wrong one. I think I did. I don't think I need this here. I need it in... Oh wait, did I... So many files. In my views, there's a notes folder. There's nothing in there, so I need to paste index.jsx in there. Good, and let's just change this to what we want. Okay, so this should say my notes. Title of the page will be my notes, so that way it shows that in the browser tab. And then below it, what I wanted to do is render all the notes, okay, which should be passed to us from props, because again, if you take a look at my controller, what did I do? I'm passing the notes that I just got from the database with the template. So it's the template that I want to render and any data I want to send to it. That data then gets sent down as props to the JSX view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that data out of props because I hate typing this out props all the time. So I'm going to do const Notes is what it should be called, because that's what we send it down as. And it should be coming out of this.props. This is referred to as object destructuring. It allows me to pull stuff out of an object into its own variable with ease. But again, it's got to match the property name in the object. Okay, so I pull out notes from there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to map over notes. So I'm going to do notes.map. And then for each note, so again, I'm mapping. So for each individual note, what I want to do is just return an h2 with the note. Property. Because technically each node's an object with those properties, so it's really note.note. Okay. And that's it for now. Okay. Save. Okay, then later on we'll add some buttons to create a note. So right now I won't see anything, but this should be the page that it goes to after I log in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go change my login logic. So I'm going to go to my auth controllers. Take a look at the login one right here and see right now it redirects back to the main page. I'm going to change it and redirect it back to what should end up being notes/. Okay. So that it should redirect it to that page going forward. I also want to make sure I put auth on this. So let me put the auth middleware on this index route. So I just put auth, comma that. Basically what it'll do is it'll run this function before it runs this function. That's essentially how that works. And then I do need to bring this router into server.js. So I'm going to head over to server.js. And I first need to import the router. So I'm going to go over here, import it with all the other routers. Const note router equals require. That should be from the controllers folder. So ./controllers/notes. There we go. Now once I've imported the router, I then need to make sure that we actually set it up in our middleware. So app.use. So going forward, any route that starts with /notes will go to the note router. Cool. So that should fix all that. Let me just double check the auth one. Is it this? Yeah. Notes. Okay, good. Okay, cool. So let's try this out. Let's see here. If I log in, first we'll sign up. So I'll click on sign up. And we'll just say Bob. Password, Bob. Okay, sign up. Now I'm on the login page, so I can see the URL's changed over to the login page. Type in Bob. Nice. Okay, I get an error. Cool. Cannot find module layout because I forgot to import layout. So let me go back to this. You can see this is importing layout from the same folder. So I got to change that. Let me just make sure I'm editing the right index.js. Yep. So that's up a folder. Because again, see here, index is inside notes. Layout is inside views. So technically it's up a folder. So I got to put 2 dots so that way it's looking up a folder. Okay, let's refresh. There we go. And there's my notes. And see, it worked because I'm logged in. Okay. Nice. Okay, and I should probably add the logout button too. So let me go back to my layout and let's add a login. A logout, I mean. Okay, so this will be logout. And the URL for the logout is just the same thing as the other two, except it's logout. Save. Okay, so if I hit refresh, see now there's logout. If I hit logout, it takes me back to the main page. And if I tried to go back to notes, see it says not logged in. Okay, so it's prepared for that. That's all in the auth controller. So if you want to go to a different page when you fail to log in, you can go edit those functions. But I'm going to go log back in. Bob. Okay, cool. Because essentially when I log in, it's saving the information that I'm logged in the rec.session object. So now let's get it where we can create a note. So that way there's something to actually display along my notes, because right now there's no notes. So let's go back to our, first we need to make the controller. So let's go back to controllers. And the first route we need is the route that takes us to the page with the form. So slash plus at, which should be the new route. Okay. So that's going to be a router.get again. It's going to be a get request. Slash. Again, we need to put the auth middleware in there. Which again, I imported up here. Okay, just to remember that, like, I just didn't pull that out of nowhere. Rec res, and again I want to use async await because I like async await. It's just cleaner looking. Okay. So then what I'm going to do here is all I'm doing. Actually, well, all you were doing here is just sending them to a page. So I didn't even need to do async await. That's, I'm not going to even really take advantage of it. Because all we're going to do is just res.render. Okay, a sign up page. And so that would just be notes slash signup.jsx. Okay, and that's literally all this route's going to do. And just in preparation, I will create the create route, which is a post request. So on this sign up page, there'll be a form. You submit the form and it'll submit it. So router.post. Once again, you need to be logged in, so let's add the auth middleware. And then again, async rec res. Okay, rec res. And then what I want to do here is that the information is going to come in. Should be in the rec.body because that's where the form information should be coming into. So really, we're just going to say const new note. So we're going to create a new note. Equals await. So generally I'm going to use await before any database command. Await note dot create, and it should just be passing in rec.body. There's actually there's one thing I do need to change first, because rec.body is not going to have the username. So what I'm going to do right before I do that is I'm going to add the username to rec.body. So I'm going to say rec.body.username equals rec.session.username, because I do have the username in session. This way I can just pass in the rec.body and it should have all the properties I need. Okay. Now I'm not going to really do anything with the new note, so that variable is never going to get used. But what I am going to do is I'm going to redirect them back to the list of notes. So slash notes. Cool. So that should do that. So now we just need to create the sign up page. So let's go back to our views. So I'm just going to copy the index page, paste it in there. Again, just saves me from having to type in all the basic. Oh, this is in models. Not bad. So let me delete this. Okay. Let's just collapse all the extra stuff. Models, views. Okay, I don't need to look at the auth views. Notes views. Copy, paste into notes. Okay, I'm going to rename the sign up. Okay, and I just realized something. Back to my controllers for notes. The new route is pointing to slash. That can't work because this one already points to slash. So this should be slash new. Goody. Save. Sign up. Okay. And my notes. So we're going to change this page to new note. New note. And all this page is going to really have is a form. And the form's going to have some input tags. We're just really on one input tag. Input type equals text. I'll put a placeholder equals note, just so that way, well, I'll say write your note here. So that way it shows up in the text and they can see that they need to write their note there. But I need to put a name property, so that way it shows up in the rec.body object just fine. So that's going to be note, because that's what I want it to be called. Cool. And then I need a submit button, because the only thing they're really adding is their note. I'll add the username from the server side. Input, we want a submit button. And then the value of the submit button will be create note. Okay. Cool. Form, create note. That works for me. Now I just need to put the action here. So when the form is submitted, it's going to send it to /notes. But it's going to be a post request, so method equals post. Okay. And now I think we should be good. I just need a link from the index page. So let's create a button that says new note. And let's wrap that button in a link. href equals /note/new. So that way when you click on the button, it takes you to the page. Okay, again, this is not going to look super pretty right now, but if I hit refresh, see now there's a new note button. So I click new note. I'm going to write, hey, I am writing a note. Cool. And I can create a note. And see, now you see the note. Because now, when it goes back to the index page, it checks the database for all my notes again, populates them. Let's make a few. Look, another note. Another note. So cool. So cool. Now I'll log out. Let's sign up with a different name. So we'll sign up. This time we'll sign up under Steve with the password Steve. And we'll log in. Steve. Okay, and see, Steve has no notes because Steve is a different username than Bob. So when Steve makes notes, you know, cheese, Gouda. Okay, so see, each Bob has its own, Steve has its own notes. And now if Steve logs out, and then I log back in under Bob, there's Bob's notes, because again, each note has a username property to it. So when I'm querying it by username, I'm only bringing up that particular user's notes. Okay, that's what's so useful about having that rec.session object, because as soon as they log in, I stash their username there, and I can use that username at every check to make sure that I'm doing stuff just for that user. Cool. I will do the update and delete routes in a later video. But this should be a fun thing to try out and give you guys hopefully a better idea about doing full stack CRUD using templating. In this case with Express React Views, but it's the same exact logic whether you're using handlebars, EJS, Pug. It's the same thing no matter sort of what mix of things you did. Or if you swapped out the database with a Postgres database, the logic is still the same. Some of the syntax may be different. But far as like how things connect to each other, what you're doing, which is essentially creating a model that describes your data, interfaces with the database, creating your routes that tell the server what to do when the user requests different websites, pages on your server, and having views that are the actual pages that get rendered. That doesn't change. So I'll see you guys later on. Have a great day and enjoy.